Hey, it's Monday night and time for VoiceOver Body Shop. We have an amazing guest tonight. We're going to have lots of fun. Lisa Orkin is here, and we're going to talk about radio commercials and her career and the whole creative process that goes into all that stuff that we keep getting in our audition inboxes every day.
Now we know who to blame.
Yeah, really. And plus we have some tech questions.
Oh, man, we got to load them tonight.
All right.
Makes me so excited.
Yes, something to talk about. All right, coming up here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Don't go away.
Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voiceover actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voiceover actor with over 30 years experience in broadcast and recording, and a no-holds-barred, myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, to bring you all the latest technology, the superstars of voiceover today, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business, this is VoiceOver Body Shop.
VoiceOver Body Shop is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, home of Harlan Hogan signature products. Source Elements, makers of Source Connect, Source Connect Pro, and Source Connect Now. VO2GoGo.com, everything you need to become a successful voice artist. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for VO success. The VO Dojo, take your voiceover career all the way. And by VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website shouldn't be a pain in the butt.
And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VO BS. All right. Well, we're here on another Monday night to bring our massive audience more information on what it takes to be a great voice actor and how to make your voiceover business really better.
Maybe get your mind off things.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in a second. And but we have a super duper guest tonight. We have Lisa Orkin, and she's the creative director at the Radio Ranch. If you're not familiar with the Radio Ranch, we'll play you some examples, and you'll go, "Oh, those guys." Just totally instantaneously recognizable, usually by the opening of a door. Where we also have some tech questions.
Yes,
like
we do.
4 different tech questions. One from our very own Jack Daniel, who had a great question that you and I looked at and went, I don't know.
Stump the chumps.
Yes. And of course, if you have a tech question, of course, you can throw it in the chat room where Jack will gladly pass it on to us. Or if something comes up during the week, all you have to do is write to us, the guys, at vobs.tv.
Right there at the bottom of the screen.
And ask us your question, about voiceover tech, maybe all sorts of stuff.
How to run your business.
Yes. Not any marital advice.
Who not
though.
to do business with.
Exactly.
No.
So anyway, we're going to get into that right now. But right now.
And now, the VoiceOver Extra VOBS News, the latest and most comprehensive voiceover industry news. Brought to you live.
Alrighty, narrate a bestseller. Now, first, of course, our hearts and prayers go to all the victims and families of the concert goers in Las Vegas, and actually to everyone who's traumatized by this horrific event. Our voice actor friends in Las Vegas are likely speechless today. And of course, that's not an option for our good friend Dave Cavassier, who's tirelessly reporting on all of it from the CBS affiliate in Las Vegas, KLAS. Our best wishes are with all of you. Okay, take a deep breath and let's slowly move along.
Yes. Our topic tonight is how to pick an audiobook to narrate that has a good chance of becoming a bestseller. The advice comes from Betty Zoller, the voice talent, coach, and tireless audiobook narrator who tells us, "Don't ask me to read tea leaves or to tell you when you'll find the next big romance or when you'll pick a winning lottery ticket, but I have learned through trial and error, mostly error, she admits, how to pick a book to narrate that will probably earn money when you choose a royalty deal. This is detailed in an article to appear tomorrow on voiceoverextra.com, and here are the highlights from Dan."
Alrighty. Number 1, talk with the rights holder. State clearly that you expect some effort on their part toward generating sales. And keep in mind that you should make some effort at a publicity effort too. Second, ask the author, is this their first foray into publishing or published writing? Are they doing it chiefly for publicity, vanity, or to sell books? Thoroughly research the author online. What's his or her background? If you find they have little online presence or that prior book sales are kind of low, maybe shy away. Read reviews of their previous books. Bad reviews can be very telling. And run away if the manuscript sucks.
Run away!
Run away!
But also look for positive signs. For instance, an author teaching at a university indicates a higher level of achievement, as does service to a community or an impressive job title in the industry. Also, is this book a part of a series that could bring you additional work? And of course, research the printed book sales record or standing, for instance, on Amazon. From all this, you can make an educated guess about whether to catch or pass on a narration.
Now, here's a side note about the Yellow Rose of Texas, Betty Zoller. Did you know that she was a child actor on the MGM lot back in the industry's heyday? She's writing a novel, which will also become an audiobook, of course, based on that experience. We certainly look forward to that. And in the meantime, you can learn more from her article coming tomorrow on voiceoverextra.com, your daily resource for voiceover success. All righty. Well, rough night last night, but show must go on. You know, again, our best wishes to our friends in Las Vegas. You and I have stood on that very spot several times.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so, you know, just be careful, be vigilant, and, you know, make sure you're aware of your surroundings and stuff. And big concert events and stuff like that, maybe best to go to the small shows.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. When your time is up sometimes, I think. I mean, speaking of time's up, Tom Petty. We lost Tom Petty today, too. Tom Petty, and we lost Hugh Hefner last week.
Yeah.
And we've lost some major icons over the last couple of days. So it's tough times, but it just gives you perspective as to what's important. And we were watching a video earlier that
First World Problems
by Weird Al Yankovic. Look it up. It's a perfect summary of reminding you of what is not important in your life.
Really?
And with all this negativity, it will help. Let's put it this way. It helps me maintain perspective. When I'm sitting on the 101 freeway, bumper to bumper traffic, and I start to get a little agitated, I think about the families, the people who's lost lives, all these things. It
could be worse.
Hurricane Maria, all that snaps me out of it right away.
All righty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep things positive tonight.
Yeah.
Again, our guest is Lisa Orkin. We're going to be talking to her in just a little bit. But we have a pile of tech questions tonight, which is what this show is all about.
Should we dig in one right away?
Well, we'll be okay.
Why don't we tease one?
We'll tease them, and say, Jack Daniel has one, but that has to do with Dawview.
Such a tease.
I know. And we'll get to those questions right after these important messages. Don't go away.
As a voice talent, you have to have a website. But what a hassle getting someone to do it for you. And when they finally do, they break or don't look right on mobile devices. They're not built for marketing and SEO. They're expensive. You have limited or no control. And it takes forever to get one built and go live. So what's the best way to get you online in no time? go to voiceactorwebsites.com. Like our name implies, voiceactorwebsites.com just does websites for voice actors. We believe in creating fast, mobile-friendly, responsive, highly functional designs that are easy to read and easy to use. You have full control. No need to hire someone every time you want to make a change. And our upfront pricing means you know exactly what your costs are ahead of time. You can get your voiceover website going for as little as $700. So if you want your voice actor website without the hassle of complexity and dealing with too many options, go to voiceactorwebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
VO2GoGo.com. Everything you need to be a successful voiceover artist. VO2Go.com's voiceover curriculum is a 5-time winner of the Backstage Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Best VO Classes and Best VO Teacher, David H. Lawrence XVII. It's 36 classes online or in person across a year-long course featuring not just classes in the art of voiceover, but also in the commerce and science of running your voiceover business. And each month's class includes a day of workout for all participants. Unlock the entire curriculum at once. Over 45 hours of training, videos, audio samples, and live workouts where you can work on mic. Get more details and sign up for the pro membership to save money at vo2gogo.com/VOBS. That's vo2gogo.com/VOBS. That's what you got to do to become a successful voiceover artist.
Every Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
You're still watching VOBS?
You're watching VOBS.TV. I don't know why. It's crazy what they do here. I think I'm going to go somewhere else and have a cheese sandwich.
Man, there's one show that I can't miss. It's called VOBS. And a lot of people are like, VOBS? What is that? Man, it's BS about VO. And I love VO. How much BS is going to be in this show? There's only one way to find out, baby.
Alrighty. Well, as you know, George and I are professional home voiceover studio consultants, engineers, and bottle washers.
Relax.
Yeah.
I'm a professional.
I love the T-shirt you have that says, "I'm here because you broke something."
Yeah, that one's getting a little long in the tooth.
I know,
I
but
need to make a new one of those.
All right, we'll come up with something new on that. But we can help you out with your home voiceover studio. It's a unique environment that didn't exist 15 years ago, despite what some people would say. You know, a handful of people that would do it.
Very small niche had them.
Right. But it's changed a lot, and of course, you guys have lots of questions about it. But if you want to get a hold of us, how does one get hold of George?
I get holded at georgethetech.com. georgethetech.com, where I'm offering all of my services. You can send in a sound check, get stacks made, design a studio, whatever you need.
All right. And if you want to get a hold of me, all you got to do is go to my website, homevoiceoverstudio.com, and click on the contact button or write to me at dan@danleonard.com. Happy to answer your questions, or go to my website and click on the specimen collection cup where you can deposit a sample of your audio. And we'll give it a listen and say, it's okay. All right. Let's get to our questions. And we're going to start off tonight with
Dawview 2017.
Okay. Well, our social media director, Jack Daniel, submitted a question. I wave there, Jack. Okay, cool. All right. Now, if you have Adobe Audition or maybe Isotope, and you're familiar with the spectrogram, he had this weird question, and I'm like, this would make a great thing for Dawview 2017.
We can all look at it and scratch our heads together in unison.
Yeah. Of course, in 2 months, we're going to have to call it Dawview 2018. Or
the production time alone.
Yeah.
It's going to bankrupt us.
Or 5778. Okay, so there it is. Nice timing there.
Well done, sir.
All right, now what he was saying is that there seems to be a line here that is sort of missing. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see several patterns in here. This is an entire spectrogram. And the question actually was, what is that? Is there something wrong with my mic? Are we getting a dropout or something like that? Well, George and I looked at it, and I see this all the time because I use Adobe Audition, and I've seen this pattern over and over again. My theory is is that it's essentially a deficit. Maybe not a deficit. We won't call it a deficit. We'll call it something that your vocal cords don't do. This one particular frequency that is part of your voice print that just doesn't exist there. And if you look at it, you can tell because it's a consistent pattern all the way across. So it's something that's very consistent. And it could also be related to the frequency response of this microphone. What do you use? A U87? U87.
A pretty decent mic.
Yeah, I'd say.
Man, yeah, that's an odd one because I don't look at a lot of spectrograms of audio. So I haven't seen hundreds of spectrograms to compare, but that your theory sounds perfectly plausible. I from a more, I don't know, reductive or scientific thing, I'd want to have Jack record another pass with another microphone and just compare the spectrograms and see if they're similar. If that same exact pattern shows up, well, then we know it isn't the mic for sure.
That's right.
So is it something else?
Jack.
It could be Jack. It could be Jack. I guess we could have Jack record something in here and to look at the waveform on one of your mics. You know,
absolutely. Well,
that's really interesting. It's not something that reads, though. In other words, you're not hearing it as an issue. In fact, a very small. Pick up the mic when you talk, Jack. I'll turn it on. It does sound fine, right?
It sounds good, and I know you're saying that if it sounds good,
it is good.
That's what matters. But no, of course, if you see something like that, say something.
Yeah.
It is kind of odd, and very, very small holes in the spectrum response or the frequency response aren't audible. They're not really that audible.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll put what's called a notch in an EQ or a parametric EQ if someone has a hum or something that's very consistent, and I'll just simply notch that one frequency out, and you will see like basically a band. It's weird for a mic to do that, so that's an interesting one. Maybe
I'll
do
record something
recording
with my 416, and then we'll check.
We'll see what it does
side by side.
And if it's the same, then
Yeah.
It's you. It's you and your
Never would've
unique
thought of
snowflake
that, Dan.
voice. What's that?
Never would have thought of that, it being part of my voice print.
No, that's because that's what that is.
Yeah, I guess you're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Jack.
Yes, our next question comes from Trevor Jones. What a great name.
Trevor Jones.
Trevor Jones. Hey, guys. First of all, you're awesome, and thank you. Thank you.
Drop the mic. No.
All right. Second, my Focusrite Sapphire Pro 24 is dying.
This is an older unit.
Okay,
It's
well
been
that
around
would
a while.
explain it. Okay,
Been around.
What do I now connect my MacBook Pro Thunderbolt to my Aphex Channel Master ADAT Optical? Thanks, Trevor.
So he's got an Aphex Channel Master, whatever it's called,
And he's got an
It's got an optical out,
and he's
which-
using an optical out.
which you have a similar thing with your Eureka,
Right.
with a digital out.
Yes.
So he wants to go digital from his preamp straight into his Mac, which
Right.
is a good way to go. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's a super clean way. Man, oh man, there are definitely audio interfaces that are very simple that have an optical in and out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any model numbers right now,
it's a
right off the
SPDIF.
top of my head. Yeah, SPDIF or SPDIF,
Yeah.
Sony Philips Digital Interface. I think that's what
Go
it
for
stands
it. That works fine.
What should you get? I mean, most of the interfaces have way more features than you possibly would need if that's all you need to do. That's why we love the older Mac Mini. Actually, all the Mac Minis. We like all of them because they have an optical input on them.
Right.
They actually have. There's two input. There's an input and an output, and the input on the Mac Mini is an optical input also. So it's basically you sidestep an interface completely and go preamp to computer.
Right.
So he does need something. Man, I don't know what's made these days that I can say is like really reliable, and then I can like say, yes, go get this one that it's the one to get. M Audio used to make something that was called like I want to say Fast Track, but it was something it was something like that, but it was a small little unit that had optical in and out. It was very simple.
Yeah. And I've seen some pretty good preamps that also have a SPDIF out. And you can run a physical SPDIF out and put it into an optical converter.
Right.
And then you can run that into your
Yeah,
Mac
I mean,
Mini.
he
So-
says his thing has the ADAT optical out, which can be 8 tracks or 2 tracks, and that's optical. So, I mean, the one that pops into my head just because I know for sure it has it is, and he's saying he has Thunderbolt, is you could go with a Apollo Twin Solo.
Yeah, just go straight with that.
It's a little overkill for your needs. It's a $700 interface, but it's got optical in, and it's a darn good piece of gear. And then maybe eventually you'll start experimenting with its preamp and realize, oh, you know what? I don't actually need the Aphex channel strip anymore because the one in the Apollo is so freaking good.
Yeah.
So not a cheap suggestion, but one I know for sure will definitely work.
Yeah. There's no cheap way around that. He's got to have something good with an optical.
Yeah, you want it to be reliable, rock solid piece of gear. Don't buy something consumer grade. Don't buy something too cheap. That is an important job, making sure the digital audio streams in without clicks and pops.
Okay. Now you're going to love this next question.
I love them all.
I know you are. He says you should. This is from Scotty D.
Oh yeah, I know Scotty D.
Okay, he says you should do a show dedicated to showing the capabilities of using Linux as a primary voiceover workstation. The DAWs, interfaces, setups, processes, etc. I think as more people look at the cost of a Windows or Mac system and the capabilities of Linux, it should be a viable computer platform option. Thanks. Hope to see you talk about this soon. All right. Well, we can talk about it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, because we would need to have somebody on the show
who understands Linux,
who has it totally wired and can explain to everybody why it makes sense to do it. I mean, I understand Scotty's reasons. It's cheap.
Yeah.
You know, bottom line,
is Scotty cheap?
I don't know. I am not implying that you, sir, are cheap, but it is cheap. I mean, Linux is basically free. Computers that run Linux don't have to be very powerful because Linux is a very light, what we call a lightweight operating system. It doesn't put a huge load on the computer, so it's very, very efficient. And there's newer ways to use Linux now that are, or Linux, or however you say it. There are newer ways to install it and run it, and graphical user interfaces that make it look like Windows. But I've played with it, and every time I run into a roadblock, and I go, nah, I'm going back into...
You know, it's like using Pro Tools. If you know how to use it, use it.
Yeah.
If you're geeky enough to understand how to use a Linux system, do it. But if you're used to something else, do what you're used to.
We tell everybody to get Apple, which is about as far from Linux as you can get. Windows is sort of like in between Apple and Linux, where it's you can get a little geeky with Windows, and it's you got to be a little more techie to make it work. Linux is the far end of the spectrum. I mean, not to say we won't do it, but it'd be interesting to have somebody in who's an expert on that at some point.
All right. So if you're an expert, write to us and tell us that you want to be on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Nathan Cundiff says he runs the Linux on his system. We'll have to ask him about that.
Ooh.
All right. Last question from David Fuller. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for recognizing that.
David.
Thanks for producing such a great show. I'm one of the many who listen to the podcast version while on the road. I have a question I'd love to pose, and my apologies if you've already addressed it or I missed the episode it was covered on. What are your thoughts on using services like Auphonic or Abstentia DX for post-production cleanup? Do you prefer one over the other? Inquiring minds want to know, at least his inquiring mind. Thanks again for sharing your expertise and your humor with us via VOBS.
I guess I should read these questions before the show so I can research what the heck Abstentia
I told you
is.
we had lots of questions.
I've never heard of Abstentia.
I've never heard of them either.
I've heard of Auphonic. Have you heard of Auphonic?
I've not heard of I've heard the name somewhere, probably from this.
Auphonic used to be an online-only service where you'd upload a WAV file, and it would basically level it, clean it, set the RMS levels for you, whatever you need, and then spit it back out again. It was like a completely automated processing system.
Why would you need something like that when it's so simple in your own software? I mean, you can do that in Audacity.
People are podcasters. They don't know how to do all that stuff correctly. They don't know what we know. Okay. So they just send the file in there and it spits it. And I think Auphonic even has hooks into like Bluehost or some of the podcast platforms or something. Yeah. I don't know. They've made themselves like the perfect tool for podcasters and that kind of community. They also have a download version now. It's not cheap. I think the install of their software, it could be anywhere between $300 and $500 to download their software. But if you want to just throw in a file and make sure it's RMS is -20, the peak is -3, the noise floor is X, literally you put in the parameters and it spits the file back out with those parameters. It's pretty freaking cool. Abstentia, I just have never heard of it. Now
No, it's Absentia DX.
Absentia DX. Now I'm going to have to go look it up. That's Absentia, ABS.
ENTIA.
We're not even saying it right. It's Absentia. Absentia.
Absentia.
ABSENTIA.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
podcast
Absentia.
listeners that can't see. Absentia.
Well-
Maybe they should change their name. Jeez, man. That's a mouthful.
It is.
What do I think about them? I think if you have a very automated process where you have to turn over hundreds of files and you need total consistency, I have one client who I turned on to Auphonic for doing a massive e-learning project, an ongoing e-learning project,
Right.
where the talent is somewhere else and he's producing the package and everything. They need it to be absolutely consistent.
Right.
For them, Auphonic has worked. Even with we did Twisted Wave stacks. I taught them a whole mastering workflow, but it just didn't match the absolute consistency they got out of Auphonic. It's basically a robotic mastering engineer. Yeah, it's kind of what it is. It's pretty cool. So bottom line is, try it. Maybe it's better than what you're already doing.
And report back.
Yeah, and report back. I like my own mastering setups, but that's because I'm an engineer and I know how to tune it so it sounds good. But
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm trying to get across to a lot of people these days is what I refer to as whistle.
All right.
What it's supposed to sound like. Don't ask me how I came up with that acronym,
Nice.
but it
I like
works.
it. I'm going to remember that.
What is it supposed to sound like?
Yeah.
And
People don't know, though.
I know. It's like, I got to sound like I'm on the radio.
People
No, you
don't
don't.
know.
You're not. This doesn't happen
That's
that
why
way.
you have the specimen cup and I have the sound check.
Right.
Because
So
we'll help you figure out what your whistle is.
right.
What, does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll
Well, we'll wet your whistle
tune your
anyway.
whistle.
Yes.
We'll tune your whistle.
I know. All
we
right.
will tune your whistle. We
All
can
right.
handle
Well,
it.
I think we've worn out this subject for this week.
Yeah.
But again, if you have a question,
stuff.
just write to us here at theguys@vobs.tv, and we'll be happy to answer that question right on this very show like we've been doing for the last 15 minutes.
It's time to bring on our guest.
I think so. We're going to be right back here with Lisa Orkin and talk about radio commercials and comedy and all sorts of fun stuff. And we've got some fun stuff to do with her. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on VoiceOver Body Shop. Woohoo!
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You'll have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
Let me talk about Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect, the software that allows your studio to communicate with any studio in the world running Source Connect so that you can be a voice actor ready to do big-time work, because that's what the big-time studios are using now as an alternative to ISDN. There's Source Connect Now, Source Connect Standard, and Source Connect Pro. Source Connect Now is available at any time. You can sign up and immediately with your Source Elements account start using Source Connect Now totally for free. And something that's new about Source Connect Now is you no longer run or have to run Source Connect Now using a Chrome web browser. So if the only reason you're using Chrome was just to run Source Connect, you don't need it anymore. You can go to your account online, go to the download area, and you can download Source Connect Now standalone. And the great thing about it is it's isolated from Chrome and all of its updates that can cause problems with online web services like this software. I've tried it. I've used it for an hour-long podcast interview, and it was rock solid, so I can definitely recommend it. If you want to be using Source Connect standard and being able to connect with many of the top production studios and broadcast networks in the world, you can sign up for a 15-day free trial. It's right over at source-elements.com, and get started with it right away. You don't need an iLock, one of those little USB dongle thingies, to use Source Connect now or the trial. So get on it, start using it, let them know we sent you, and we'll be right back with Dan and Lisa.
VOBS is still on? Seriously?
You're listening to VOBS.
Yep, this is VOBS, proving anybody can have a show these days.
VoiceOver Body Shop. Learn the latest in voiceover technology. Learn how to get rid of that. VoiceOver Body Shop, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, on VOBS.us.
This is John Bailey, the Epic Voice, and you're watching VOBS.TV, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Newfoundland.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching VoiceOver Body Shop. It's great.
Having dinner tonight? How about having some VO too?
VoiceOver Body Shop.
Have some voiceover with your dinner tonight on VoiceOver Body Shop, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Thanks again for all your questions, and that's always fun to do. And so, I've been in this business a while. Of course, I started out in radio.
Hey, Dan, take that again. I had your mic off. I was doing grip work instead of sound mixing. Take it from right at the commercial.
Okay.
Take two.
Take two. Thank you. Take three. All righty. Well, we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Thanks again for all your questions. I've been in this business a long time. I'm a lot older than I look. But when I was a kid, back in the 60s, one of my favorite things to listen to on WKBW 1520 back in good old Buffalo, New York, was Chicken Man. And Dick Orkin was a very impressive guy and still is. But one of the most impressive things he's brought to us is his daughter, Lisa.
Aww.
And welcome to our show.
Oh my God, will you marry me?
I'll think about it.
Okay.
Wait till my wife gets home and then we'll figure that
I'm like,
out later.
I didn't realize I was on camera, so let me just sort it. There we go.
You look great.
All right, thanks.
Don't
I'm
worry
wearing
about
my
it.
boyfriend's shirt, and he didn't know I swiped it.
Yeah, at least it's not green.
Yeah,
'cause then you just blend right into the set. And
That's a good thing.
Yeah. You are the creative director at the Radio Ranch. Now,
I am?
that's what it said in your bio.
Oh my God.
You might want to update that.
Yeah,
then.
no, yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like an idiot there for
Oh
5
no,
seconds.
I am. Yeah, and I own it. Actually, I'm the owner. As
You are the head
well.
honcho, chief bottle washer,
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I put my dad in a closet, and I just took over the whole thing.
And of course, you open the door and go, "Daddy, you in there?"
Yeah. Here's a microphone. Record, and that's it. That's what I do.
Yeah. The Radio Ranch, of course, is known for a very specific style of radio commercials.
Yes.
And I was saying that I've been in this business a long time. I remember when I was, a young production director, back when I had a lot of hair. There's actually a picture of me over there with a lot of hair. I was the copywriter went on vacation. And the station manager comes to me and he's like, "You're the copywriter for a week." And he throws down a copy of the NAB copywriting guide. And I learned a lot. And then later that month, your father came and spoke to the Buffalo Advertisers. And I was like, oh, this is how you write copy.
Yeah.
And of course, he tells the story about the Hawaiian shirts, which I sort of forgot, which was his first spot. But it's a unique style of radio commercial that's, you can describe it, but the way I would describe it is it's dialogue with one or two sound effects setting a scene.
Yeah, we think of it as story driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're all about stories. So every one of our commercials has a beginning, middle, and an end. And we, the sound effects are there to make our engineers happy and give them something to do that makes them feel better.
Right.
And no, I love actually sound effect commercials. Like if we can jump, you can do anything at a radio spot. So you might as well jump out of a plane.
Right.
Or do anything. So yeah, I would say that they're story driven. brought from real life, and all the stories come from our lives or someone we know.
Right. Well, as an example of that, Andrew, hopefully you have Lisa's demo reel picked up there. Yeah, I actually found it on Voice 123. Wasn't I surprised?
Wow.
Let's play that out so people can hear the style that she is known for.
Then my extension.
Got it.
Mr. Largo 92! Tom, I only went on this blind date because I didn't want to hurt your sister's feelings.
Oh, okay.
Good. So Cindy says you're a writer. What do you write?
Wine blurbs.
And you make a living doing this?
I hate negativity.
Ow.
I said I'm just trying to create world peace.
Sorry. Tiffany, have you finished typing that letter yet?
No, because the baby O and the baby A both have holes in them. Which is which? Does it matter?
Well, tell Ted if it was me, the wedding ring shop would be the place I always dreamed of getting an engagement ring from. Mr. Farfel, I won't be coming in to work today. My mother died.
Thought your mother died 2 weeks ago.
Well, the doctor resuscitated her at the funeral, and now my son, who I just adopted last night from Romania, is sick. Where? Coming, Lupe. I'm a singer, and I can find a job for anyone.
You're a singer.
Yeah. I can find a job for anyone.
Wow.
Thanks. Wow.
Yeah.
You'd think I had a giant career or something.
Yeah, it's almost like being there.
Yeah.
But that's the style.
That's the style, yes.
It's dialogue driven. Not something that I think a lot of us who just do regular voiceover don't get to do a lot of commercial work. Maybe some local commercials and stuff. This is real poetry, the way you guys put it together.
Yeah, we think so. We think what we do is super unique. We think it sticks out. We think it actually makes people listen. And, and I do actually, most of the commercials now are me and Robbie Rist. Mm-hmm. And so if you go on the Radio Ranch website, Robbie is my partner in crime who's in Spain for the month, or he'd be here today. And so that's the deal. So, yeah, it's not, I think our commercials really sort of work really well for our clients because they're different and they cut through all that shit on the radio. All those DJ reads. Shame on you, radio stations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I already introduced you. We know you're the daughter of Dick Orkin, but you're your own person. Tell us how you. I guess you really didn't want to end up where you are, but now you're happy you're there. I hope.
You know what? I don't know if I'm ever happy because I'm just a neurotic Jewish girl. But all Jewish girls will just hate me for saying that. But you know what? I am super happy there. I'm super happy just doing comedy and audio. Like, that's my happy place. So whether it's the Radio Ranch or honestly, Lisa, my podcast, I think I'm happy doing all that stuff, you know? So it just doesn't, to me, as long as I get to make funny, I'm cool.
Okay.
And I mean, the Radio Ranch is definitely I'm super grateful. It was totally by accident that I ended up there. I ended up because I was driving my dad in because he had hurt his foot. And then I would sit in on the writing sessions in between auditions. And then I would brainstorm and I'd give them ideas. And then they said, well, why don't you write a commercial? And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I wrote a commercial and then they were all like, oh, great, she can write. Oh, no. I think everybody was like, oh, Dick's daughter, she's not going to be able to write. This won't go far. And so, but I'd been writing with my dad since I was 5. So I can write a minute, beginning, middle, and end in my sleep.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And once you start to feel, it's about 45 seconds.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enough room for the tag. And
so And then I started teaching with him. And next thing I knew, one day he said, here's some paperwork, it's yours. And that was that.
No, he opened the door.
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa, I have some work for you.
Yeah, and so that was that. So I run the Radio Ranch and I teach people how to write commercials. And we actually have like a course. Can I just promo our...
Please.
So
shameless promotion.
So go on the Radio Ranch and we have a little course you can buy on how to write really good radio commercials. And it's like, it takes a half an hour to do and you can just go buy that. So yeah, Dad, are you proud? I demoed it, just saying. So, yeah.
Yes, now I remember from the NAB guide, the first words were, sit at your desk, put your feet up on the desk.
Ah, that's great.
I figured he probably wrote it, but there were examples, of course, of his stuff at the NAB web. Well, it wasn't a website then. It was It was on a record.
Yeah.
Remember those things?
Yeah.
Licorice pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put your feet up on the desk and think of every unusual thing you can that has to do with this business card that the salesperson has just thrown on your desk.
Yeah. Right. We think too at the ranch that like personal stories are the best. So that's usually where we start. We start with personal stories.
Right.
So yeah.
So you've done stand-up and you've
I've
done
done
acting.
stand-up.
Tell us a little bit about some of your background.
So I've done TV, I've done sitcoms, and I've done lots of TV commercials. And I started off more on camera and comedian, and I've been at the Comedy Store, and I've done solo shows, and I've done films, and and some really cool people have produced my films along the way, and short films, and now I'm about to embark in getting an RV that hopefully some advertiser will give me, and I'm going to go across the country and do comedy and radio commercials along the way.
Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. We had a guest on a couple weeks ago.
With an RV-based studio, yeah.
Really?
Right.
Oh, I'll have to talk to that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a cool project. I have a client with he got a van that was built by the people that build the news vans.
Oh, that's
and
great.
Put a studio in the back of it. And this was like 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's what I want to do just for like a year. I figure
Yeah.
I can Airbnb it when I'm overwhelmed.
Yes.
I'm going to bring my cat, Violet.
Airbnb it for voice actors.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll bring my cat, and we're just going to take off and do a year of, and I can produce radio, send it back to the studio, and along the way. So
It
I'm
can
good.
be, if you got internet, you can do it.
Another person to ask about that is Bo Weaver. I don't know if you know Bo, but
yeah.
He has spent considerable amount of time on the road in an RV recording. He knows all the ups and downs.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. I think I may change my mind.
Hopefully not when you're getting on the highway.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Give it a week.
Yeah, for now it sounds like but I've done it from Big Sur in a little cabin. I can do it.
Cool. That's
All right.
fun.
On this show, we talk a lot about improv, and that as a voice actor, it's really, really important to have some skills at doing improv. I have a hard time doing it, and we've had Scott Parkin on this show.
Scott.
We've had a lot of people who are just
Scott's like completely almost
He's a machine gun.
Yeah, I always have to go. There's a script. just saying.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he starts swearing, and then it's all lost after that. But why is improv so important to voice actors? Because you write copy, and I'm sure you want people to adhere to it, or do you?
I am one of those few writers that's like, you can make it better. Make it better. Play with it, because make it yours, because you're why I have you in there. So, if you can improvise and make it sound more real around the copy points, that's awesome. I don't go too far, because you're going to end up losing the script, and then it's hard in editing. But I think the value of being able to improvise when you do voiceover is that you can make the scripts a little better. You're a little more flexible.
Right.
Because there's so many voice actors that come in and they just stick to the script. They do it it's just like you want that person's personality a bit in it. So yeah.
That's why they're cast.
Yeah. And also too, I think sometimes people over prepare. And they study the script, and then we may get in there, and we might go, you know what? Oh my gosh, we thought it was a 60-second script. It's only 45 seconds. Or it's actually 2 minutes long, and we have to,
remove the actual advertiser's name.
Yeah, 18 times. So, yeah.
Yeah. How does the casting process work? Now, at the Radio Ranch, I'm sure you have your cadre of people that you call in and stuff.
Well, I'm sure people are not going to want to hear this.
Well, go ahead and say it anyway.
I hear them in my head, and
Right.
I pretty much know when we write them who's going to do them. We pretty much have it. But that doesn't mean that every once in a while we don't hear an actor and go, you know what, we need something really different for this. But there's about 6 of us. And what I will do is I will bring in like 3 actors, maybe, or 2 actors for each role, and we will all play. And then eventually everybody's going to probably work. But we actually go into studio and we all play and do the scripts. And we at the ranch are a little different because we have our own studio. We overproduce. So if a client asks us for 2 spots, I will do 3 or 4.
Right. What about this one? What about this one?
Yeah, and a lot of times that's good because they end up buying more scripts. Or they don't buy those other 2 scripts and you put them in a stockpile and you use them for another client. So that works too.
That's
recycling.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do everything there. So you're the creative director. You write all the writing. How many people are employed there?
We have a wonderful engineer, Andrew. We have about 4 writers. And then we have our bookkeepers and accountants. But we've actually really streamlined. All brainstorming's done at my house now, or whatever coffee house we deem appropriate that day. And we really just get together when we're recording in the studio. But most of it is done either in my house or a coffee house.
Right. So if you've got the same usual people that you use all the time, you guys are used to working together all the time. And that's really important because you trust each other.
Yeah, and that's huge. And I think, too, for people that we bring in from the outside, I know my boyfriend, who's a voiceover actor, he goes, it's a little frustrating with you guys because, we all have like secondhand. We just know where we're going. And Robbie and I have been doing voiceover together since we were 15.
Oh, okay.
And we're in our 50s.
I was going to say it's only been like 10 years.
Yeah. So Robbie and I, we have played boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, divorced couple, engaged couple. So, Robbie and I have done hundreds and hundreds of commercials together. And so I think that's, we just know where each other's going. And we have a radio series called Love Bites that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're also doing a podcast now?
I do a podcast.
Tell us about it.
So I do a podcast called Honestly Lisa, and it started off as me talking to just men. Mm-hmm. It was men have feelings too, or men are people too. And after 25 episodes, I'm like, yep, they're people too. So then me being the lost yogi that I am, thought I'm going to start interviewing people just to figure out who I am and if they can maybe help me figure out what to do with my life. And so I'm on I think I've done 100 podcasts. And so honestlylisa.com. And I just actually interviewed, and that goes live Wednesday, a guy named JP Sears, who's the hilarious yoga guy who wears the purple yoga tights.
I don't watch any yoga.
Yeah,
this guy is freaking hilarious.
He's hilarious.
You do, but,
he's a comedian, actually, and he's a video star. And a YouTube star. And so I just had JP on, like a long-lost brother. It was the most fun I've had in a long time. So that's going to be on Wednesday.
This thing in coconut oil or coconut anything is just
So
mint.
And JP and I both come from the spiritual world, so it was kind of really fun to meet in the middle of comedy and spirituality. So and then my website, Honestly Lisa, is where sort of the hub of all the comedy.
Okay.
So whether it's Instagram or I do a comedy minute on Instagram, like 3 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And then I have my website, honestlylisa.com. Super slurry tonight. I'm just saying.
Don't worry about it.
It was all the booze I drank, I think, before I got in the car and drove here.
By the way, someone in the audience named Sam Longoria says he's got good news and bad news. Good news, he's
Sam.
like, I have an RV. And he'd like to donate it to your project, and it's got air conditioning and a studio in it. But he doesn't think it would make it past Phoenix. Would
Get
that be
out
good
of
enough?
town. Yeah, you know what? We could look at it. I could take it to somewhere. We could try it. Wait, does he live in Phoenix? Because if he lives in Phoenix, then we're in trouble.
I don't know. Yeah,
he lives
exactly.
in LA, I think.
Yeah, we might need more details. Sam, send us an email. We'll connect you.
That'll help. All right, well, you're watching VoiceOver Body Shop. Our guest is Lisa Orkin. We're talking about the Radio Ranch and writing commercial copy and her career and all sorts of cool stuff. If you've got a question or a comment, like that guy, or an offer, you can put it in the chat room, and Jack Daniel is sitting there patiently typing away, talking with all of you in the chat room, and we will relay that question to Lisa in just a little bit. But there's something I wanted to do, and I think we could probably spend a few minutes on this. Or should we take a break first and then go to that?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to take a break. And after those messages, I have a fun little activity for all of us and all of you. So stay tuned on VoiceOver Body Shop. We'll be right back.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. Now there's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, casting, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports and get 14 bonus reports on how to ace the voiceover audition. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
All right. Our good friend Harlan Hogan. Here's a quote for him. When I was just starting out in Chicago, I was flabbergasted, thrilled, and scared to death when Dick Orkin and Bert Burtis, the famous of Dick and Bert, cast me alongside veteran voice actor legend Joel Corey in a series of radio commercials for We Magazine, a racier publication from Playboy, without even auditioning. It was the beginning of a great relationship and lots of work with them before their move out west. But much more importantly, that first session with these comedy geniuses was a lesson in verbal comedy that I sure didn't learn getting my BFA in theater. Stage trained, I was punching the funny bits and trying to make the script sound funny, unaware, as a neophyte, of the subtlety of a Dick and Bert script that was, of course, intrinsically funny. During a coffee break, Dick quietly took me aside and said, "Harlan, you're working too hard. See, to be funny, you have to be absolutely serious. The more serious you are, the funnier the script becomes." It was a gift I've never forgotten. From Harlan Hogan. Dan O'Day and Harlan are doing their every other year month-long teleseminar, Starting Your Voiceover Business. Go to www.facebook.com/voiceoverclass. Also, that VoiceOver Essentials is now almost all products. He wants you to know that all products are fulfilled by Amazon, providing Prime and 2-day shipping. Go over to www.voiceoveressentials.com. Or, if you'd like, and make it even easier, go to the bottom of the page, down there somewhere. Yeah, there's a picture of Harlan down there. And click on that. It'll take you right to VoiceOver Essentials, where you can get all of his great signature products. The Harlan Hogan Signature Series headphones made specifically for VoiceOver. The VO1A microphone, which George Woodham will now model for us. Great price point on a great microphone. Nicely done there, Carol Merrill. And of course, some of the other great products he has. But now you can get it all with Prime and 2-day shipping from the one and only Harlan Hogan at voiceoveressentials.com. Go over there and buy all his stuff.
Are we at -4 dB? We're at -4 dB on VOBS.
Before time began, there was VOBS.TV. Watch or else.
Learn the latest in voiceover technology, business, and good old-fashioned acting.
I really like your bracelet. It's awesome.
Hey, Paul, where did you get that watch?
That's really cool.
And a hamburger with no cheese, please.
Every Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on voiceoverbodyshop.com.
And we're back on VoiceOver Body Shop. Our guest is Lisa Orkin from the Radio Ranch. And we have a very creative crew with us tonight. George, who, of course, is just naturally funny. Andrew, who you actually do stand-up, don't you, Andrew? No, you don't do that anymore? He just does sitting down. and Jack, who's just naturally funny because he's just a naturally funny guy. But we're going to do a brainstorm here. Tell us a little bit about, because you obviously have to probably facilitate these things with the people you work with to write stuff.
Yeah. So we talk to the client and we drag out of them as much information as possible.
Right.
Because that's where you got to get all that information so you understand who they're talking to. And then as soon as we figure out who they're talking to, let's say it's the microphone people.
Right.
So once we understand who they want to sell the microphone to, then we can start finding stories that relate to the microphone. So, for instance, maybe the good thing about this microphone is that it's very clear. So we would start sort of brainstorming ideas when microphones weren't clear or when we had communication issues. And so we would start just trying to find stories that have to do with times where people didn't understand each other. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Snoopy's teacher. Right. So that, and what are they going to use it for? Is it for podcasts? Is it for interviewing people? Is it for tape stuff? So finding all that information from the client is what we need. And then most importantly, explaining to the client that the commercial is not for you, it's for your customer. So
that was always one of the tough things about writing copies.
Yeah.
We want them to be a star, but we want people to buy their product. And
I think that's one of the hardest things to do. And I think like in an economy like this one right now, people get nervous and they spend money and they want to just hear their name 18 times, which they're just doing a disservice. If you met somebody on the street and they're like, "Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm Lisa. I'm Lisa." You'd be like, "I don't like you. You're weird and freaking me out." So I think that's the key.
Yeah. I always found phone numbers on a radio ad to be, what are you guys thinking?
No phone numbers
No phone
anymore.
numbers.
Never again. No more phone numbers. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's create a fictitious retail client.
Okay.
All right. George had a good one.
The duct tape store.
The duct tape store.
Oh, the duct tape store. All right. So the first thing I would say is the duct tape store. Can you pick just one thing that you want the commercial to sell about your duct tape? What is the thing that is most important that you want to tell your audience?
It sticks to anything.
And why is that a problem? What's the problem?
We're trying to identify a problem right now.
Yeah. So if it sticks to everything, right? Mm-hmm. Versus the other products that what happens when things don't stick?
It falls on the floor.
It does. It falls on the floor, or the package arrives and nothing's in the package.
Right.
So I think those are the things. Like, start thinking of ideas right now of where tape fails.
Like when you try to tape the rear window back on your 1973 Pinto.
Yes.
And it falls off on the freeway, you're using the wrong duct tape.
Right. And so now here's my question. Is there audience people who drive Pintos?
Probably not. Well, there's a few in California. I would
right.
think. Yeah, but
so we want to define their audience, right? So we make sure that it's definitely, and so we could take that idea, which is a good idea, and go, all right, so you tape something on your car, right? And then it didn't work, and then you get the flapping sound.
Yes.
Which is great on radio, right?
Right.
Bad, cheap duct
that's
tape
why they
flapping.
Pay me $20. Yeah.
Yes.
that's the whole point. But so that's I like that idea. So what else? Where else have we had big? And any idea works because we may be able to build on it.
Glasses.
Glasses.
Is
yeah.
a common issue, but I don't know if duct tape is really what people use.
Right.
Well, I've done it. But
what was the last thing any of you taped?
Oh gosh, I use it all the time. It's kind of like gaffing tape, right? So in the studio, something you just need it to stick. A piece of Oralex is falling off your wall. There's all kinds of uses.
I was shaving my dog's belly, so I just duct taped them up to the wall, and I could get to it better.
Okay. So here's the thing: we would go, all right, that's funny and it's making us laugh, but real stories of real fails in your life, right?
Real fails. Okay.
Fixing a tent.
Fixing a tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? My daughter and I went to Joshua Tree to a giant yoga festival, and it was super crazy windy that night.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be the way to save your camping experience. With all the wind, and that would be an interesting commercial, right?
Yeah.
So
Sound effect, cue the wind.
Yeah, wind, yeah. And it's like, how did you guys get it such a good night's sleep? Well, we had duct tape. Yeah. Yeah. Flash to.
Right.
Right.
All right. Something else you would use duct tape for. Fixing clothes.
Fixing clothes.
But these aren't common uses, right?
No, these
all
are
the time.
Yeah, right.
How many people duct tape their pants on their bikes so they don't get caught in the chain?
But tape fails. Like, you use a masking tape for something and it's just not strong enough, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the deal. Or we go the other way and we go, what are the most amazing things that people have ever used duct tape for?
Right.
Making wallets.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Making wallets.
Yeah. Or the straw, we could Google, that's a great way to do it, is to Google and go the best use of duct tape.
Jack, would you Google that for me right now?
And also, too, I would ask the client, tell us stories that people have told you about duct tape.
Oh, yeah.
So that they could give us really good stories on how people use their product.
I'll get in trouble for saying this, but my girlfriend used it one time to fix her eyebrow really quick. She just kind of was like, I need something really here. This is really bothering me. If you could just pull it off.
Nothing grips like duct tape.
Yeah.
That's great. So you can use it to, right. So not only can you hold your tent together, you can give yourself a bikini wax.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So yeah, and heighten it, right? Yeah. So take what it is and then just heighten the story.
All right, we got a bunch of things. I've got a microphone that's held together with duct tape up there.
There you go. Right, right.
Yeah, old Franken-Mike.
So what would happen is it would just keep falling over, right?
Right.
If you didn't, So I think those are the things. So we would spend a good 2-3 hours eating popcorn, drinking coffee, water, and whatever else I could come up with in the kitchen while we would brainstorm ideas.
Can I ask you, would this be like one of those things where you want to be talking to somebody with a real story, with real concerns, because then we wouldn't have to kind of figuring out what they are and making them up?
Yeah. So, I think it's to figure out what to dig so deep that you go, okay, we know all the uses. Like, give us all the uses. We'd go online, we'd figure out all the uses, and then we'd start riffing on stories from there.
Okay. And so, all right, so let's sort of jump to that and say, okay, let's come up with the story. Which one did we find that was the most useful or most real?
I think the tent one is good.
Yeah.
Because the tent one has wind, right? Oh, for God's sakes. So, yeah. So I think the tent one is good because you can actually have so like my daughter called me at 1 a.m. to tell me that the tent was blowing over. Uh-huh. So you could have a mother and daughter on the phone and the mother helping the daughter figure out how to tape up the holes in the tent.
Right.
At her festival,
right.
At her yoga festival. So I think that, and like the beginning of a spot, which in some of this they'll get into more detail if they go over to the Radio Ranch and they get our little how-to Spot-O-Matic. It's called the Spot-O-Matic.
Cool.
So yeah,
that's great.
So go over there and get that, but it'll dig a little deeper. But the first part should always be the setup and the reason why the product is so needed. So the drama. Start in the drama.
The premise?
Yeah.
How about if maybe a yoga festival, how about something like Burning Man?
Yeah, totally. And my daughter's a Burning Man girl. Yeah, but it could even
you
be. You
let her go there?
Yeah, she's 30.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
Not that I have a choice. I've been to Burning Man. Have we not all been to Burning Man?
I've not yet. I don't know. I guess it's now that I'm in California. I guess it's something I got to drop in on.
Leap and do your big life, man. You haven't lived until you've suffered at Burning Man.
Yeah. Right. Inhaled dust for 5 days. As fine as talc. Yum.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So if we can start with something like that, at least that gives us a lot of weirdness to work with.
Well, and I think, Burning Man, I think is a good idea, but I think what is just the idea that maybe the daughter went out to with her girlfriends. So it's the idea that she's on a retreat or even a Boy Scout camping trip where the husband could call, which is always funny when the husband fails.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So especially with the ranch. So you could then, so now we're changing the stakes a little bit. And I would say, let's all go write a commercial based on that idea. Someone do the husband,
Right.
Someone do the daughter. Someone do the son, calling the mom.
Right.
Which would be great too, at Boy Scout camp or something.
So you come up with all these little premises and you dole them out and say, everybody come back.
Yeah.
How long do you give them in time? I mean, is it like 10 minutes, an hour, a day? How long? What kind of time?
I give them 20 minutes knowing that will be 3 days.
Yeah.
I actually, no, I give them longer than that. The writing part for us is the longest part.
Yeah.
So the first round of writing, you know what, I will give them, depending on how much time, a week would be great. Because they're going to come back with like 3 or 4 of them. Because I don't want them going and writing them all at one time in an hour, which is what they do anyways. Or, and probably what I do.
So you have some lead time on these projects typically.
Yeah.
You have like a month? How much lead time
3 weeks usually.
Yeah.
3 weeks seems, a month would be great. And then we'll just put it off until the last 2 weeks anyways. We don't do that. Where's the camera? We don't really do that. Doesn't really happen. There we go. It doesn't happen.
We're gonna do an edit on that.
No. Yeah.
I'm gonna put this on, okay?
Go for it.
When I was, I did a lot of sketch comedy when I was in San Francisco, and what we would do is we'd all write our stuff, and then we'd all meet together, and then we'd read our own things, and then we start riffing on the pieces that we liked. Does that sound sort of similar?
Yeah, so we'll come back. We'll all read them. It's funny because when my dad used to sort of be in charge of it, and now he's not as much in charge of it, he would then just give everybody rewrites, and you had to sort of do the rewrites as he saw them. I didn't because I would be the rebel daughter. But but we would all sort of get together, and then basically what happens these days is that we all get together, we riff on them, we read them out loud because reading them out loud makes a huge difference.
Right.
And then usually they all pile them on me and I do the rewrites.
Okay. So I think I once heard an interview with Nichols and May, and they were talking about how they would just start riffing in a studio, and if they couldn't stop laughing, they knew they had something that was going to work.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think if it makes us laugh, we know it's good.
Right.
And Robbie and I can riff a commercial. We can sort of just get a premise and then riff it.
Cool.
So we can just sort of go, all right, here's what the copy points are, and then we can just play.
Yeah. Writing copy, if you've got the formula, it's not that hard. I mean, it's hard. You've got to be creative. You've got to be culturally literate. You've got to know a lot of different things that people can relate to.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for most people when I go and teach big groups is that they don't want to use their own life experiences.
Right.
And that's usually the funniest stuff by far.
Right.
And so we did a commercial years ago for Tiger Balm where I had a boss who was a weekend warrior who would soak his feet every Monday, and he would just have a towel on. And so my dad and I did a commercial for Tiger Balm where the boss did the Monday meeting in the bathtub. And so that, we just heightened it up a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, our guest is Lisa Orkin, and if you've got a question, if that didn't stimulate your minds to ask some questions, nothing.
I just figured out where the camera was.
It's right there. It's
hilarious.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't do a lot of TV these days?
Usually they work around me. She's a little simple, so you just got to put the camera where she's looking.
Right. There you go. If you got a question, throw it in the chat room. We getting any questions in there, Jack?
We are.
Well, why don't we throw a few in there and keep asking them? So let's start off with
Nathan Cundiff.
Nathan, go for it.
Hi,
Lisa, do you connect with people remotely for projects?
Yeah, absolutely. I rarely do. I don't know why no one in LA ever calls us to do spots. We only really do commercials for people all over the country other than LA. So we do. I mean, the actors are all here.
Well, that's what I think. Well, I don't know if that's what he's asking, but I can tell you that the majority of the times we get questions like this, it's usually the voice actor asking, how do I get hired to be on one of your spots?
So unless you're in Los Angeles, it's pretty darn hard.
Yeah.
Because when I'm out on the road, that may change a bit.
Mm-hmm.
but I'll probably make them just come meet me somewhere. Or I'll fly back to LA. But so, yeah.
You
But,
like
you
the
know.
face-to-face. You like to direct them in person. You like it
Yeah.
to be a lot more organic. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Got
Next
it.
question. Devox, never short of a question.
D-Box.
We can't remember who that is.
He's in Japan.
He's in
That's all I
Japan.
know. He's
and
in Japan.
Oh, hello. All the
so
way
he's
to
probably
Japan.
having lunch tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's the future? Tell us what's going to happen tomorrow.
What am I eating for lunch tomorrow?
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is there another bad tweet? Please tell me. No.
Okay, all right. Let's
All
see here. And this is something we didn't really talk a whole lot about. But he says, what were the most important, unique lessons your father taught you regarding the business, especially production and voiceover performance, or the creative process, and maybe where you differentiate yourself a little bit?
That's a really interesting question. My dad and I definitely have a difference in comedy today.
Right.
I tend to be much more real person, much more actually, just much more real person
Yeah.
than he is. He tends to be bigger and broader. And so I'm always pulling him down. Although he does like it when he hears it. He goes, oh, I was wrong. I think you're right. So he will do that. Or he just wants me to stop. I'm nagging. But I'd say the biggest lessons he taught me was no acting. Don't put on a radio voice.
Yeah. Well, we tell people that one all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
You're not on the radio.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you might be on the radio,
You
but
need to sound like a real person.
right.
Yeah. And I also think that that life experience is really what it is. And it's funny because naturally I do the thing where I play it as serious as possible. I play a lot of bad singers, and I always say to people the key to bad singing is to really try hard. As hard as you can to sing really good without hearing the pitch.
Right.
So I think those are the lessons I learned most from him.
Yeah.
How to write copy in 3 acts, and that it's theater.
Right.
And that's most important. Because he's Dick Orkin, he can be really annoyed with the clients. I cannot, because I can't get away with what he can. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Dick Orkin, we have a spot. I just want to play the first one here. This was from a record that was, I think, that Bert recorded in 1980.
Wow.
I found it on the internet, but I just listened to this. There's a couple of commercials on here, but play the first one there, Andrew.
Welcome back from vacation, boss.
Oh, thanks, Glubman. How'd everything go here at the warehouse?
Oh, fine. No problems.
Big shipment of eggs got out all right.
Eggs? Oh, eggs all gone, yes, sir. One little problem, though. Our lift truck broke down.
What was that?
I said our lift truck broke down.
Do you have a chickie in here?
No, she's outside typing.
Well, I hope you called Caterpillar to rent another lift truck.
Oh, Caterpillar rents lift trucks?
Yes, for breakdowns or seasonal overloads, your Caterpillar lift truck dealer rents almost any kind of late model lift truck. They'll deliver them fast and on time.
Huh.
You hear that?
Oh, yes. You said for breakdowns or seasonal overloads, Caterpillar rents lift trucks.
Not that. You have a baby chick in your lunch pail.
What do you know? One of the eggs must have hatched.
I think there are more in your drawers.
Oh, it doesn't feel like there's
Not
any...
those drawers,
Oh,
those
those
drawers.
drawers.
Just exactly how many eggs hatched?
Well, just a couple, sir. But, don't open the door. I don't think you'd,
And what do you call this?
Well, this one's called Fluffy, and this one's called Binky, and
Glubman.
Whatever your lift truck problems, your Caterpillar lift truck dealer can quickly rent you the solution. And without a peep.
Sam, you are ready for any...
So that's an example of what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that was Bert with my dad, and so Brooke, Bert's daughter, also an indie filmmaker like me, is actually great. We're gonna probably do a podcast together soon. She lives in LA, but yeah, and Brooke and I run into each other I think long time ago at a callback. We were sitting across from each other, and we're like, "Gosh, you look familiar. You look familiar." And then we went, "Oh my God!" So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Have we got any more questions? We do. Let's see here. Jack, on behalf of many, would you sketch out a typical talent audition and what paces you'd put a talent through?
Oh, all right. Well, I give you the copy, and I give you about 10 minutes, and that's it.
Okay.
So I want you to make a choice and not think too hard about it. So that would be the first thing. And then when I get them in studio, if I feel like they're too in the script, I will have them flip it over to see if they actually know the story. So I like to flip scripts and then let the actors do it from there, because that tells me if they really know the story.
Right.
A lot of times the actors are just reading their lines,
Right.
and so that keeps that from happening. So I will do that when I'm directing, and then another thing I do is I have them start the commercial before the commercial, improvise into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the things I tend to do.
Yeah, and probably the majority of voice actors don't do that. They just, as you were saying, they just read the copy. And
Yeah. And so for a Radio Ranch commercial, I really need them to know the story. And so the story is more important than the words. That's why I said I don't really care if they stick completely to the script, because I just need the story to work. So, and I think that's true in any audition.
Mm-hmm.
I think no matter what voiceover you're doing, whether you're sticking completely to the words, because a lot of times people think I'm not sticking to the words, and I am. But it's just that you are so into the story that you've actually gotten off of the paper. And
it's interesting. I suppose it depends on the type of what you've written and if you've created a clear story, you can follow it. A lot of times, copy just plain sucks.
it sucks. But you know what? You got to make that story for yourself. Then
Right.
you got to, even if it has apps. And I'm a voiceover actor who auditions for lots of things. And you know what? You've got to try and make it make sense. Your job as a voiceover actor is always to make it make sense, even if it doesn't.
Not that easy.
Not that easy,
Which is
but
why
your
there aren't-
job.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why there aren't a lot of people making a heck of a lot of money doing this.
Is that why?
I think that was part of the reason.
I thought it's because there's lots of DJs doing reads.
Yeah,
these
that may
days.
be but they're not getting work.
And then,
except as DJs.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus doing voiceover, and I thought that was the reason. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of the big money is really going to a lot of big stars right now.
Right.
And and our audience is we're people that are trying to make a living doing this, and there are some people that are very good at making a living doing this. But they're not paying the budget for SAG-AFTRA.
Right.
They're making a living, and they're not maybe really exposed to some of this really high quality stuff. And but when you are, you go, my God, this stuff is poetry. It really flows so much better.
Yeah, it's a really changing business right now.
Yeah.
For the Radio Ranch. It's because there's so much non-union going on, because I could go down a long litany of reasons, but it's a very hard time. And I think then for the indie voice actor who's not union, this is your time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. The business has changed, clearly, because radio is not what it used to be. Having been in radio, trust me, I know it's not what it used to be. I left in 92.
Yeah.
So it's the majority of voice work, and it's all moving to the internet and streaming
It is.
and stuff
Digital.
like that. Yeah. I mean,
Digital.
are you producing stuff for some of the streaming networks?
It's really interesting. I have a meeting with some of them, and even for my own podcast, I did produced commercials.
Mhm.
I did produced Audible commercials just to show them a difference. I think that's a changing field, podcasting, with the way commercials are right now. It's all host-driven reads.
Just like here.
Yeah, and I think, but you guys are actually voiceover people, right? So that's a little different. And a lot of these guys aren't. So I think that's going to shift. I think some of the biggies like Stitcher, and people come to us who have a podcast about a business, and they don't want to sell their own stuff on their own podcast.
Right.
So we've done some streaming podcast commercials for clients for podcasts, but I'm waiting to see I just went to the big podcast convention, and it's a very shifting. Streaming is a really interesting thing.
Yeah. It really is the future.
It is the future, and it's interesting, and let's not get confused. Digital marketing is not social media. It's two different things. Social media drives one thing, and then advertising and marketing drives another thing. So, yeah.
Well, that's how Facebook makes its money.
Yeah. So, right.
Interesting.
This is one that came in from Sam. We can go out on this one probably.
Yeah.
Sam Longoria asks, Lisa, what would you advise a young person? Is voiceover and radio commercials a great part of the business to get into, or what is the best part? I'm not 100% sure the question is clear.
You know what? Here's my thought, and I think I understand what he's asking me. I would say that if you want to do voiceover and you're really passionate about it, then you need to go into acting classes and improv classes, and you need to stop listening to your voice. And before you even do voiceover, I would go do stuff like that. I would take local improv classes. I'd go do local theater.
Yeah.
I would really learn how to act before I did voiceover. And if you're super passionate and that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. But you've got to be super passionate, because it is not an easy way to make a living. And most voiceover actors in Los Angeles who have made a living for years are leaving Los Angeles and are not making a living anymore. And it's a really changing field. So if you want to do that, you volunteer to do everything you can for free and learn your craft, because it takes a long time.
All righty. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for
Sure.
being on this
I'm like,
show
was
tonight.
I lecturing?
Are you kidding? That's why we had you here.
Yeah.
It's the whole point. All righty. Thanks a lot for all your questions. And we'll be right back to wrap things up into a nice tight little ball right after this.
As a voice talent, you have to have a website. But what a hassle getting someone to do it for you. And when they finally do, they break or don't look right on mobile devices. They're not built for marketing and SEO. They're expensive. You have limited or no control. And it takes forever to get one built and go live. So what's the best way to get you online in no time? Go to voiceactorwebsites.com. Like our name implies, voiceactorwebsites.com just does websites for voice actors. We believe in creating fast, mobile-friendly, responsive, highly functional designs that are easy to read and easy to use. You have full control. No need to hire someone every time you want to make a change. And our upfront pricing means you know exactly what your costs are ahead of time. You can get your voiceover website going for as little as $700. So if you want your voice actor website without the hassle of complexity and dealing with too many options, go to voiceactorwebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Hey, where are you on your voiceover journey? Where would you like to be? Well, whether you're just getting into voiceover or you're a seasoned pro looking to take it up another notch, the VO Dojo is here to help you take your voiceover career all the way. And this Wednesday morning at 10 Pacific, noon Eastern, the VO Dojo presents its monthly Ask the Sensei session with head sensei Tish Hicks and yours truly, the Techno Sensei. You can ask any questions you want about voiceover, and we'll discuss it. So to register, go to www.thevodojo.com. And you can also sign up for your free consultation there. So go over to thevodojo.com, sign up for the Wednesday Ask the Sensei sessions, and check out all the other great stuff that they have at the VO Dojo to help you take your career all the way. We'll be right back.
Learn the latest in voiceover technology.
Business.
That good old-fashioned acting. Hey, Paul, I really like your suit. Where did you get it? It looks good on you. This is VOBS.
Wow, that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
I knew it was fun. I came up with that idea this morning. Let's do a brainstorming session. I knew everyone would get into it.
It's so rare I get to be totally creative on the show and come up with an idea.
We do it every week.
Even if it wasn't a good one, at least I came up with something.
Okay, well, that was pretty good. Duct tape. I never would have thought of that.
I was inspired by Spatula City.
Yes. Which was from
VHF.
UHF.
Sorry.
The crazy Weird Al Yankovic. That's right.
UHF.
Okay. On this very show next week at this very time, we're going to have somebody we've had before. She's great. She did the announcements for the Oscars this year, which she had been doing for years, and then she wasn't, and then she was doing it again. Randy Thomas will be joining us here in our studio and talk about voiceover mastery, which is coming up at the end of the month. I think I'm going to go actually hang out at that and be a judge or something along those lines. So that'll be fun. And of course, the party afterwards is fabulous. So we'll check that out. On October 16th, John Gidcombe, casting director of Loop-de-Loop, ADR and Looping Group in L.A. for all top box office movies, like Marvel movies, the Planet of the Apes movies, X-Men movies, Avatar, La La Land, all of that stuff. So he's going to be...
Impressive.
Yes, okay. October 23rd, Pam Muldoon's going to be here. We're going to talk about internet marketing and the difference between that and social media.
Yeah, she's a smart cookie.
Oh, she knows her stuff. She's very sharp. And then on October 30th, our good friend, who probably holds the record for most appearances on this show, because he just happens to show up and we're like, hey, you want to be on the show? Rob Siglum-Paglia.
It's that easy.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we'll talk about that in a second too. But he is a voice actor, an actor, a producer now, producing a film that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he's also a floor wax. But he's also coming here to talk about voiceover legal issues, which he discusses very well. Nobody knows it better than Rob Siglum-Paglia. So join us on October 30th for that. Who are our donors of the week?
Well, we have a few regulars who are back again every week. Eric Aragoni. Thank you, Eric. I don't think he's missed a month.
I don't think he has either.
A week in
Eric, come
years.
visit us again.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Tracy H. Reynolds is another weekly donor, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Pilar Uribe. Is that how you say her last name?
I think so.
Yeah, Pilar. Thank you. Martha Kahn, one of our friends. Antland Productions. That's Uncle Roy. Greg Thomas and Diana Birdsall all have donated a little bit of money to the show in the last week. Thanks so much.
Isn't that fabulous? And if you'd like to donate to the show to make sure that we can maintain the high technical standard that you are used to every week, week after week, year after year.
So high.
Yeah. To help us out to maintain some semblance of that, there's a donate button right up here. If you look above my shoulder, it's there somewhere. Yeah. Click on that, and that'll take you to PayPal and set it up automatically. So you're like giving $1 a month, or $10 a month, or $100 a month.
Yeah,
it helps.
Does that even pay for the processing fee? $1 a month? Who cares?
It's 35 cents on
At least
the
you're
dollar
helping
for that.
PayPal.
That's
They
right.
need a little boost these days.
They do.
I'm over at George the Tech, as you know, georgethetech.com, and I came up with a coupon code for everybody in voiceover, but in honor of the Libras out there like myself. If you put in coupon code Libra 2017, LIBRA 2017 at checkout when you book a consulting service through my website, you'll get 30% off of your consultations. So go check that out.
All righty. And you know where to find me. Just go over to homevoiceoverstudio.com. Just click on it. Look at all the stuff I have to say. Argue with it. Believe in it. Doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Our opening voiceover tonight was provided by the one and only Chris Hewart. Two Canadians in 2 weeks.
They're on a roll.
Yeah. They're invading again. And if you'd like to get your voice in there, we are starting to develop our new intro, which is, been in works for try 8 months. It's going to happen, and we'll give you full instructions on how to do the voiceover for it. The podcast version?
Yeah, it's at Stitcher Radio, iTunes. If you've got a podcast playing thingy, put in VOBS. You should be able to find it. If you can't, just email us at theguys@vobs.tv. But we should be on every platform by this point.
Yeah, the show logs.
The show logs are right on the website at the top. They're written by Jack DeGolia. He summarizes what happens minute by minute. It's time-stamped. You can look at it on our website. You can also look at it on YouTube. And when you click on the time of the comment, it goes right to that moment in the YouTube video. It's freaking awesome.
Wow.
It's really amazing. So,
you could skip to the whole show. Not that you'd want to, because there's just so much material
it's a
in
long
there.
show, and sometimes you want to find something specific. So,
but it goes by so fast when you're having fun. We have a survey, too, which we'd love you to take, which is also up there somewhere. Take our survey.
Yeah.
And tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you don't like seeing. Stuff like that. Yeah. And what guests you'd like to see on the show. Although it'd be hard to top Lisa Orkin tonight, who was just fabulous.
Definitely.
And if you'd like like to be in our studio, if you're in the greater Los Angeles area on a Monday night, around 5:30, 6 o'clock or so. If you want to come on over and hang out with us and watch us do the show and participate and just have a great time, eat carrots.
We have snacks.
We have snacks and hummus.
Some of them even Whole Life Challenge compliant snacks.
Oh, wow. Outstanding. And we just have a great time, and it's fun to hang out here. Write to us at theguys@vobs.tv and say, I want to be at the show. And we'll give you the secret address, and you'll be able to actually come into our studio.
And on the way out the gate, a little blue light shines on you, and you forget where you
everything
were.
that happened.
Yes, Men in Black.
Yes. Okay. We'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, like Harlan Hogan's Voiceover Essentials,
Voiceover Extra,
Source Elements,
VO to Go, and the Rehearsal app,
the VO Dojo, and voice actor websites for providing the uninterrupted stream of this very program.
Yes.
And so thanks for being with us. Thanks again to Lisa Orkin for being with us tonight. This was fun. This was a good time. And we like having a good time. We like doing it for you. We like knowing that you're learning stuff and trying to make your business in this wacky industry better.
We love to edutain you.
Edutain. Let me write that one down. All right. Okay, that's going to do it for us this week. We will be back next Monday night with Randy Thomas. So have yourself a great week. Keep working hard. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is Voiceover
Body Shop,
or VO BS. Take care, guys.
Bye.
World of Audio. Two men knew what they were doing, or at least they have you convinced. They put the BS in VOBS.TV.